All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Welcome back to yet another MC Eternal tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make the smeltery. Now, I do know that there's a bunch of videos that you can look up on this, but I've never personally really seen a video where somebody is purely just showing you how to make the smeltery. It's all like tied into their Let's Play videos and stuff like that, and that's cool and all, but sometimes it's hard to find the tutorial, so I'm going to make just a standalone tutorial for you guys today, so that way you don't have to struggle with looking for it like I did. So, with the introductions out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this. So you're going to need a couple of things, and they're all relatively easy to make. As a matter of fact, I'll even go and show you guys the recipes that you'll need. So the end goal is to have all of this stuff. These are all essential components. You're going to need all of these for your smeltery. Some things you're going to need more of than others. And also, I want you guys to keep in mind that the size of your smeltery will determine how much stuff it can hold inside of it in terms of like molten ores and stuff like that. But in order to get the seared items, you have to first make seared brick. And in order to make a seared brick, you need grout. Grout is made from a couple of different ways. I do recommend using like this right here. Or I'm sorry, not this. Using up here this recipe because it gives you the most grout, and it's honestly pretty easy to do. You just need gravel, sand, and clay. Why isn't my mouse working? Yeah, you just need gravel, sand, and clay. It doesn't matter. As you can see, you can use a bunch of different ones. I do recommend making a ton of this. You want to make a bunch of this grout because you are going to use more than you are expecting. But once you have the seared bricks, you can go in and you can check. That's not what we want. You can check these, it takes a couple of things like this. So for the drains, you can have as many or as few as you want. You need to have at least one though. I personally would say actually the minimum is 3, because you're going to have at the smallest level, you're going to have like 2 casting tables and then a casting bin, which will turn things into blocks. You'll also need this seared tank, which is going to hold the lava or whatever your fuel source is going to be. So you'll need to make that. And then you will have to make, obviously, the seared brick. You'll need this faucet. This faucet will go on top of the drain, but we'll show you all that later. So once you have all your grout and you've turned the grout into seared brick, you're going to go ahead and you're going to find an open area like this, like so. And you're just going to start placing down these regular seared bricks. So for the sake of the demonstration, I am going to build a small one, but do keep in mind, like I said earlier, the bigger you build this, the more stuff you can hold in it. So, keep that in mind when you do go to build this. I'm going to do this one like a 5x5. That's a pretty good size if you're like just trying to make the smeltery just to get that going. And in MC Eternal, the smeltery is an amazing tool. It offers a lot of customization options when it comes to your armor, and it allows you to make some pretty powerful stuff, which I'll cover in another tutorial. So do be looking out for that. But we're just going to go ahead, because it's creative, I'm just going to place down all of this as seared brick right now. And then we will cut things out and change it to the other stuff as we're going through this. Now, when you're building this, you have 2 options to make it bigger. You can either expand it outwards, right? Like you can place blocks out here or whatever and make it like wider, or you can just straight up make it taller. So you can just build up and up and up and up and up, and it'll keep increasing the space that you have in your smeltery as you do that. So that is very nice. But once you have the basic shape down, you're going to go ahead and open a slot. Doesn't really matter where you do it, just open a slot, but you're going to put the seared tank in there. This tank is gonna take your buckets of lava, so I'll demonstrate that real quick. You can use lava. There's a couple of other fuel sources that you can use, but I'm pretty sure it has to be like a liquid source if I remember correctly. But you're gonna hold your bucket of lava out, you'll walk up to the seared tank and you'll right click it. Now, as you see, I put the bucket of lava in, but it didn't fully fill up the meter, so it does take a couple to do that. And also, if I remember correctly, you can add multiple of these just so that way you don't have to fill up your lava as often. But once you have that done, you're going to go ahead and you're going to do next to it, you'll do your smeltery controller. this is where you're gonna put ores in. So we'll demonstrate that as well too. Once this is built, everything's, well, not everything has to be built, but once you get to this point, once you have your tank in and you have your smeltery controller in, you can go ahead and start filling this up with ore and whatnot. It's not what I wanted to do. So we'll go ahead and throw one in there. It's going to start smelting it. Now, I would wait to do this part until you've built the rest of your smeltery, and I'll show you why as soon as this iron is finished smelting. So we're just going to wait for that for a minute. So it's going to get smelted down. Now that it is smelted down, you can see that we've got this molten shit in here. Or, excuse my French. We've got molten iron in here, right? So the reason why I recommend waiting to put your ores in until you've completely built this thing is because if I go over here and I break this, I lose all of that molten ore. It just disappears because there's nowhere it's going to seep out, right? So you can put it in earlier. I recommend waiting to do that, because the next thing you have to do is you got to place down these seared drains. Now, I'm going to place down just the basic 3, but as I said earlier, you can place down more than 3. In some situations, it can be beneficial depending on what you're building, things like that. But I recommend having 2 to 3. Once you have the seared drains placed down, you could then go and start throwing ores in here, right? But you do still need to add these seared faucets onto the end of them. And if you don't do that, you won't be able to extract any of the materials that you put into it out of it. You have to have these seared faucets here. These drains don't work without the faucets, okay? So once you have the faucets down, you can go ahead and place a couple of things. I typically do 2 casting tables, and then I do my casting bin over off to the side, all right? So once you get to this point, you're set up, you're ready to go. You can start messing around with the smeltery. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to grab some more iron blocks. We're going to do a whole stack. And I'm going to throw them in here, and I'm going to just demonstrate a couple of things with this smeltery for you real quick, just so you guys can get the like basic idea of how this works. So you don't have to fill up this entire thing when you're doing this. I mean, obviously it helps, right? But you don't have to. So fill all of this up. I'm going to wait for some of these to get in here, and then I'll show you how to use all of the components on the smeltery itself. I do also just want to mention to you guys that there is a lot more to this smeltery than just what I'm showing you here. Once you do this, you can start doing things like placing casts on the casting table to make different parts and things like that. But that is a very, very like big thing, so I will be covering that in a separate video. I just don't want to make these too long for those of you who already know like half of the solution and are just looking for the one missing part. So I'll show you how to make different casts and stuff like that in another video. Do be on the lookout for that. But yeah, so as you can see, our molten iron's almost gone. It's almost done and ready to go. This is really nice. It shows you like how many free ingots you have, the total capacity, how many you're using at the current moment, stuff like that. So right now I have 9 blocks and 5 ingots worth of molten iron. Once you have stuff in here and you want to extract it, you'll go up to the faucet and you'll right click the faucet, the right button on your mouse, okay? It'll fill this up and you'll have to wait for it to cool down before you can actually extract it. As you can see here, it's cooling down. You can actually check its progress by hovering over it, which is nice. And it usually doesn't take too long. I think depending on the block, the time for cooldown may vary. Don't quote me on that. I may be wrong, but if I remember correctly, that is how this works. Once it's all collected, you do not have to mine it. Don't use your pickaxe to mine this. It's a waste of time. You just right click the block of iron and it goes straight into your inventory. So you'll have this. Come on now. Come on now, game. Put that away, you know, do your whole little shebang, bam. And that's the smeltery. It's relatively simple, but it can be confusing for some people. So if you found this helpful or useful in any way, please don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe and look out for more content. And I'll have some more tutorials coming for you guys, hopefully pretty soon. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, night, morning, whatever it may be for you. And I'll see you guys all next time. I just wanted to say I appreciate you guys for checking out the video, and I hope this did help you. And also, if you want to see more of my content live as it's happening, be sure to go check me out at twitch.tv/DracoTight. I have a ton of content up there for you guys, and I hope to see you there. See you all next time.